Cullen and Frank Welker, I am very proud to say these two are my friends. They are amazing people, absolute legends when it comes to acting and voice talent. And as much as we all know, the characters Optimus Prime and Megatron have become mortal enemies. I can definitely say the two of these guys are best of friends and almost brothers. I have brothers, and we know their brothers are friends and enemies at times. So what you have here today is definitely an exciting panel. We're going to hear these two really sound off and tell you some great stories. We have some great content, in-booth video footage, as well as some old G1 footage. But we should really get the thing going. So I am proud to announce to stage my friends and your heroes, Peter Cullen and Frank Welker.
And Peter, good to see you. It's good to be seen. Good to see you.
Thank you, Frank. So, guys, thank you for making the time, the trip out here. We are, again, so happy to see a huge amount of fans. I know it's hard to see, but trust me, they're out there. I know the lights are on us. But we're going to have a lot of fun here with you guys. We're going to turn back the clock a little bit, all right? We're going to go back in time. But we really look forward to hearing from you guys how you got here and how the stories evolved. But I think for the fans here, I want to give them a special treat that you only really get at Hascon, and give them a peek really behind the voice into the recording studio. So we're really going to start out with a video clip of each of you guys. We'll start with Peter in the recording booth from Transformers Prime. Anyone here a huge Transformers Prime? About 7-8 years in time to Transformers Prime, so we're going to roll a quick video.
Autobots, take your positions and follow Ratchet's lead while I make my stand. Roll out! They scared me!
So Peter, that was only a couple of years ago. I would love if you could share with the fans how the voice of Optimus has really evolved. And soon we're going to hear what the G1 Optimus sounds like as well. But there's definitely been a maturity of this character over the last 30 years. Can you share with the fans kind of how you got to that, how you really poured yourself into that character?
Well, it's a great question, and I've answered it many times.
Some of these fans have not heard from you.
Mr. Cullen may help me with it.
Are you trying to move him away from you, Frank?
It's just beginning. When I was starting the process to audition for Optimus Prime, it was a normal situation where you read a character breakdown. You're told basically what the animated series is going to involve or about. And in this case, it was described as a hero, but he was a truck. So when I described this very scenario to my brother Larry, who was a former Marine and back from Vietnam, Larry returned as a captain, and he's a medal captain, Bronze Star, a couple of Purple Hearts, and we were talking one time after I was informed of this breakdown of the Transformers, of Hero being a truck, and I said those words to him. Yeah, he's a truck, and he laughed. And he said, Peter, how do you be a hero and a truck at the same time? I said, I don't know, Larry, I don't know. He said, well, if you're going to be a hero, be a real hero. Don't be a Hollywood hero, you know, doing all the yelling and screaming and pretending you're tough when you're not, you know. I said, he said, be strong enough to be gentle, you know. be honest and caring, compassionate. And those words really struck me as I was getting in the car on my way to that audition. And the audition had a paragraph of Optimus Prime, very similar to Frank reading, Megatron, perhaps the same day. Anyway, it's about a paragraph where you incorporate your interpretation of the breakdown of Optimus Prime and put it into sound. Well, I could just remember my brother Larry talking to me, and his voice was similar to mine. He's a lot taller. He was 5 inches taller than me, but he had a baritone voice as well. And I could just remember his tone. And he said, "Peter, if you're going to be a hero, be a real hero. Don't be, don't go running around and acting and tough, I said, "Okay." So when those lines came, "My name is Optimus Prime," it just came out of me, and I went, "Oh, this is going to work." Larry is with me from the planet Cybertron. And I went on like that. 3 weeks later, I had the role. Grateful for all of you. Believe me, it's a bond. It's a bind. We bonded together. For those who remember G1 Optimus Prime, we were. All
right, and I have to ask, because that video ended with it, and I can tell you, me and I'm sure a lot of fans out here use roll out every day in their vernacular. As I tell my kids, we're going to the mall, let's roll out. Have you ever said that to a cabbie or an Uber driver? to dinner? Ever once?
No.
Oh, all right. I have.
He has.
All right. So Frank. Okay, now yes, I think you're used to this now. Optimus always goes first, the hero.
That's true.
Goes first. So playing second fiddle as the villain. Yes.
It's a dog.
Crying dog. So, all right, let's take a peek at Frank in booth for Transformers Prime.
Highly unlikely, Optimus, as I infuse with their very mind.
Alright, so it seems like while Peter and Optimus have some great lines, the laugh. That laugh has been very iconic, and we're going to hear a little more of that sinister laugh as we play some more clips. What was the inspiration for that? I hope was it your older brother as well, right?
Peter's story is really a very, very wonderful story, and unfortunately, my side, coming from the comedy side, and not really having that kind of an experience, I had to draw from some of my bad experiences to find Megatron. But actually, in this particular scene, in the laughter, one thing about Transformers is we are transforming. So you remember the G1 voice was, "I am Megatron, leader of the Decepticons." Well, in Prime, we changed that and transformed a little bit into a little bit more. "I am Prime, not Prime. But it was a little bit different texture, more larger, more human, not so much of my mechanical stuff I did before. But the laughter was basically still from G1, so and so it kind of transcended through, even to this guy. So I would say that that's a little bit of combining G1 with the new voice, and the laughter was still there. And the same experience that Peter had as far as auditioning, we went into this little studio on Ventura Boulevard in California. And they had all of the pictures of the characters drawn out, which is really nice. For me, I like visual. If somebody describes us, they say, "We want you to play a tree And the tree is more leaves than a normal tree. Right away I'm going, why is he saying that? You know, and I'm gone. But if I see the tree, then, I can see a tree, or whatever, you know. But visually, it's so nice to see it, so I see roll out! He's not in danger of losing his job.
I have to say something. I don't mean to interrupt you, frankly. When we would record in the studio on any given recording session, it was inevitable at any moment that Frank would come out with a sound at a very inappropriate time that would totally distract you, but would sound as if it was coming naturally from somewhere in the studio. So he could not be to blame for it. Oftentimes it would be maybe the drip from an air conditioner going into a pail of water. It could have been anything.
Yeah. I've heard the bird sound.
You know, the thing that we like doing to Peter like this, we have, you know, very sensitive engineers. You know, they always want to make sure the sound is correct. They don't want any mistakes. If the director yells at them, the actors yell at them, everybody yells at them, and they go, oh, yeah, well, okay, no, it'll be perfect. So we would always go in and say, let's go. Peter's got to get out. He's got another session. Let's move. Come on, come on. So I'd say, well, let's test the mics. I used to get it. Remember that, Peter? Then there was the,
How about the person speaking loud behind the door, and the engineer would say, all right, we have to do that again. We have to do that again. There's somebody talking outside the studio. Be him.
well, you know, you always did this one. I'm sure that you've seen other guys do this now, but we used to do it. We sort of created this as the intermittent mics. Things a lot of times. And here, it's angle. God! Oh my God!
I did the death scene as Optimus Prime in the movie in 1986, the one with Orson Welles, and I'm dying in it, and Frank is hovering over me as I'm going gasping through these horrible lines that tell me there go my car payments. And I finish this thing choking to death, trying to do the best I can. Frank will just look over and say, are you going to do it like that? Are you really going to do it like that? I'm dying here, Fred.
Very sympathetic.
Died before. How did you know?
He was so sympathetic. Roll out.
What does a truck sound like when it dies?
You've got to hear Peter do a semi-truck. But I mean, a lot of people don't realize Peter does incredible impressions and sound effects. I mean, he's not just this brilliant voice, which he is, but he has some very interesting things. Up to you, truck.
I'm saving all those sounds for when we release our
noise album.
Our noise album. Doing that and some other stuff. It'll be quite a day when that comes out. I can't. You do the ducks. See?
This is went off the rails.
We promised we would do this to each other, and then we did, so. Don't you, Pat. Don't ask. All right, so what the ducks were, when I first started, actually, I had a stand-up routine. It was about 12 minutes of not very funny material, which is not really good for a stand-up comedian. But anyhow, I would end my act with 12 ducks singing "We Wish You a Merry Christmas." And it was 15 ducks, but, you know. 3 walked. This is a choir of 15 ducks singing "We Wish You a Merry Christmas." I got the other 3 back.
Wish you a Merry Christmas.
I was more worried about falling off that bridge we were on. And I was wondering how many bags of helium did I breathe in before I was giving my speech?
I'm gonna get you, Megatron!
Must have been 1935. I was just a kid.
When do you know what year that was? About mid or early 80s? Early 80s, yeah. So I was 84, yeah. I was 18.
We weren't really locked into the characters yet. I don't know. We weren't locked in.
I was.
Winning that fight. But would you be together?
Actually, yeah. And you know, nowadays, more often than not, you record independently or individually. And for Peter and I think Peter will agree, we like to work together when we can. Because we feed off each other. We've known each other for so long, and our characters, we know them so well that it really helps to record them, except for in the features, because the features, you have to concentrate so much on the scene, and we're not always together in those scenes. But when we were fighting or interacting, it's kind of nice. And in the G1 stuff, we were definitely together, and we battled right next to each other. He used to spit on me all the time.
Would he spit on your mic too?
Well, every time you mention G1, it just brings to mind so many happy memories, so many wonderful memories, and such a great cast, the people that we worked with constantly. Sue Blue here today at some point. It's going to be a great, exciting day for us to be able to induct her, into the Hascon Hall of Fame. It's really I haven't seen Sue for a while, but she's one of the greatest gals in the whole world, and she deserves that tonight, you know.
That was a spoiler.
But we laughed a lot.
We'll let you have that. And so, and back then, I know you were just getting into character, but were you guys given the opportunity, given your backgrounds, to ad-lib, to kind of bring some different lines to the characters? Since it was really, they were new characters, and you weren't walking in at that time to 30 years, right, of a franchise. How much of kind of your own dialogue, or I didn't hear any kind of French-Canadian accents there, so, but,
Well, monsieur, I'm in the hockey rink, eh? You talk like that when you're from Montreal, Canada. I play for the Canadiens. I can see the Zamboni is in the back. And I think a lot of you have a cold rump right now because you're on the ice.
What would you order for breakfast as a French Canadian?
2 eggs side by each other, sunshine side up, 2 pair of toast, bacon parallel, Pepsi May West, brown paper bag to go, that's all.
Sure beats us. 2 eggs and bacon. Side by each. You know, when we were doing G1 with Wally Bird, who we just lost, by the way.
And, Wally.
But he was under a lot of pressure to get these shows out because he was doing mini shows. And back in those days, you could actually do a session for 8 hours. I think we were still doing 8 hours, and then it went to 4 hours. But the business was becoming a renaissance in that period, and guys that were working a lot, we had so many shows to go to. It was like in the old days of radio where you went across the street and you go, and then RKO, and then you go over here and here and here. And so you could do like 5 shows. Peter, I'm sure, did. You know, we would do sometimes 8, 10 shows a day, and we'd have to go and get picked up and everything. But we tried to stay in the G1 sessions. But in those sessions, it was tight, so we weren't able to get the kind of freedom to ad-lib a lot, but they would take suggestions. But basically, we pretty much had to stay to the script and do what we were kind of told at the time. But whenever you created some spark, they obviously loved it, and the producers and the writers. But not the same in the features. In the features, it's been, at least my experience, that Michael Bay kind of encourages you to ad-lib, and for an actor, that to me, that's heaven.
Great. All right, so we're going to play another clip, guys. I'm sure it's a scene near and dear to your heart, so we're going to quick roll and play from there. That's a lot of fun. And I think that's where you can see the story evolve, and you see the kind of ups and downs of these characters. I think that's the fun of the fans here, I'm sure. Who's a fan? So, okay, I want to hear some voices. Who would side this side of the stage with Optimus Prime?
Woo!
All right, this side of the stage with Megatron. Sounded about the same. That's about right. So
It's a democracy.
Influence out there, I guess.
He flies airplanes, I ride horses. You can't get further away
watching these on the weekends as well, and then we'll kind of play from there. So, quick one for you.
Hello again, Megatron.
Awesome. So your laugh was almost sinister there. You almost had a sinister laugh. It was very close. Very close.
Yeah, we must have been in between just hysterical laughabouts we would have every now and then, and they probably kept that. But we would often, just go out of control. Just start laughing because of him and other members of the cast. Not me. I was a leader.
Yes. What he would do, he would get you in trouble, and he's got such a great poker face that he'd go, and he'd turn around, and immediately they'd blame me. Poker face. Now this is true story, because parts of what he said is not true. But what is absolutely true is that about maybe halfway through the first season or second season, they split us up because they had Peter and I working together all the time. So finally they put like 2 or 3 people between us, and it wasn't really our fault, it was the other actors. Always got the job done.
So
It took other directors years to figure out that strategy. We did so many different shows together. Has anybody ever seen Mighty Man and Yuck?
Oh, I remember that. There we go. We got a couple hands.
One person, I see one hand, 2 hands.
That's how we met. I was Mighty Man and he was Yuck. Yuck being a dog so ugly he had to wear a dog house over his head.
Oh.
And if he took that dog house off, everything went bananas. He was so ugly he could start a train wreck.
Typecasting.
Typecasting, I swear.
So Frank, you talked about in a day you may do 8 different shows. As you guys went into Transformers and G1 cartoon, you would think for kids. Clearly, obviously it has transcended that. That specific scene had a little rhyme scheme to it, right? A ton of fun, everyone giggled. How did you approach a cartoon? Did you think about the audience, kids, or were you thinking adults? How would you look at, playing that out, knowing, again, all the other work you were doing wasn't just for kids?
The shows were kind of script-driven. If the dialogue indicated certain things, then you would perform that way. And so the shows were kind of the same way. I really didn't kind of have a handle on what age group the Transformers was, because it sort of transcended even in those days, because it was still kind of for rough and tumble baby boys at the time. But yet, in fact, even when Susan Blue came in with her character, then there was female characters, so it got a little bit more and more both genders, and then, there was kind of that action for adults, and but I can't really remember thinking too seriously about, an age or an audience at the time, more just concentrating on getting the script and the dialogue set for what the director wanted, yeah.
I think everyone here, right? How many are still watching G1? Anyone? I mean, to both of you, I think you nailed, at that. While we were all children, I myself loved it as a kid, I still appreciate it, as an older. So, kudos to both of you for nailing that one. So, I'm going to throw another one. This is a scene, and you're still alive in this scene, but soon to maybe not be. But this scene has some epic lines that have really transcended, this property, and I'm sure a lot of fans out there have some T-shirts that have this line. So we're gonna play, but we'll end it while we're still both alive.
One shall stand, one shall fall. Why throw away your life so recklessly? That's a question you should ask yourself, Megatron. Now, I'll crush you with my bare hands. One shall stand, one shall fall.
Did you create that line? Seriously?
No.
Oh, I did. I said, Peter, try this. Try this. It'll work, I think. Try it.
Really?
Why throw away your life so?
And he does. But some of the lines like that have, I think it means so much to us.
Yeah, that, and me too. When I hear that, I mean, that gave me chills. I mean, that one shall stand. You know, I obviously can't do it, but it's that's one that really stands out.
Yeah, and I think as you guys get part of this, and I know both of you are so proud of all your opportunities to be part of this franchise, and you continue to be part of it. How have lines like that helped you continue to bring, Larry and the voice of Optimus just kind of ever present in your life and for you, while your lines may be a little more evil? They're very impactful. They mean so much to people.
Well, I mean, those particular lines, that just brings you right back into the character. And like I said, I got chills just hearing him and then seeing my reaction. And I've seen little cuts of that on YouTube, and I never can see enough of that. I really do enjoy that.
And I think for those that listen carefully, Stan Bush's "You Got the Touch" is cranking in the back.
Yeah.
Also a favorite. Stan is here as well.
Woo!
We'll all get to hang with him. And that's part of what's great about this property is the characters, the music. There's just so much that has really built such a strong history and the nostalgia for all of us.
And the collectible side of it too. I mean, you go back to the G1 stuff and the Megatron as the gun, and it's just I think it's such a neat thing. And when we do the signings, people bring in all the different iterations, and it's just amazing to see the latitude of these characters.
So I know most of you guys have worked together, but I know you're great friends. You guys have spent not just blue time, but a lot of time over the years. I have to ask, have you ever accidentally said the real name of the other person in the movie? If you accidentally called him Peter instead of Optimus Prime in the midst of a recording? It must happen at least once. I mean, I accidentally misname my kids every day. Right? So,
it probably has happened. I can't really remember, but the chances are good.
chances are good. All right, awesome. All right, I'm going to play one last clip for the crowd, and hopefully we'll get some chuckles out of this one.
Don't leave me, Soundwave.
This is the best one.
So Frank, really quick question for you. What was it like to not only talk to yourself, but also carry yourself in a animated?
Well, I was pretty sure I would save myself.
I'd like to save yourself.
When you're working both ends, you know you're going to get out somehow.
And we all, how many, you and I have talked about this before.
Yeah.
This is a very interesting story. I think Peter was very honest in his approach to voice casting in this film. I don't know if that was the same.
Well, there were so many characters on the table, and I am such an egomaniac. I'm thinking, I'm going to do them all. I'll do that one and that one.
He could do them all. He's not an egomaniac because he's probably, that's why I call him the king. He is the king.
Little dog, big dog.
Oh.
everybody thinks it's me. On the selecting of the characters, you know, so in reality, you know, to be honest with you, I just look for fun characters, and all the characters look so interesting, and I'd never, you know, seen really Transformers before. So I picked a bunch of them, and Wally was so busy at the time, he had maybe G.I. Joe and some other things going, but he just said, oh, pick a couple, come on in. You know, well, of course I took 7 or 8. And he didn't even realize I was reading all these different characters, and then he records them, then it comes back, I guess, to you guys, and we listen to them. And Megatron, when I looked at Megatron, I found out he was the evil guy. I thought, oh man, this would be so great. And I know Peter's going to get half of these, so I'm going to have to work my tail off and come up with something maybe that he's not going to do. And I was thinking, what can I do? No, he'll think of that. No, I'll think of that. I don't think of that. But I had this sort of very white voice. Maybe if I do that, then put some scratches in it.
I could do Barry White for Soundwave. Yeah, I could do Soundwave as Barry White. I love you, baby.
Megatron thought, okay, what's he? Well, maybe
Start that.
Scratchy, because he's mechanical, scratchy. I want to be Barry White. So that's the long version. You want the short version?
I think there is a scene in that film where you actually voice like 7 characters in one scene with Soundwave and his entire cast of characters, which is hilarious.
My throat hurt now.
You don't have to do it. You do not have to do it. Well, everyone's seen the film. I think everyone's seen the 86.
Woo!
Okay, there. Awesome. So, Peter, I'm going to ask you a question because I think, again, something that I know is near and dear to your heart in that being part of this property, I think, has allowed you to take this and really bring others into it. If you can talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, all the great work you've done with NASA and OpsPark and what the OpsPark Challenge, a little bit about what that means to you, because I know it means a lot. A lot of fans here might not know about that, and I think you're, again, in our prior conversations, you're being part of Transformers and this character has given you, I think, a lot of strength and passing it on to the next generation.
Well, first of all, it is such an honor to be associated with the great people from NASA and the Goddard Space Flight Center. Coincidentally, here in the audience is one of the great guys from Goddard Space Flight Center and NASA is Darryl Mitchell. And right there, Darryl Mitchell. What this man achieves for inspiring the younger generations into space technology, which is so much involved in all walks of life that I was never aware of. Going back to the late 60s when man walked on the moon, I was captivated by space technology, exploration. I just said, boy, I was in the wrong career. I was a young actor, and I said, if I hadn't wasted my time, I could have been an astronaut or been involved in space. But as it turned out, I was better off as an actor because I wasn't smart enough to be a guy in space. But anyway, what I've learned from NASA, from Goddard, and the Optimus Prime spin-off award, which is what Darryl Mitchell is directly our relationship working together with. Darryl is one of the great minds over at Goddard, and inspiring younger people's minds to broaden their landscape into space, the future of space technology, requiring everything from law to medicine to the actual flying of an aircraft, the way we romantically think of astronauts, John Glenn and people as such. It is such a cohesive environment that it employs so many aspects of the human mind and imagination. And my involvement with Optimus Prime and it's poetic perhaps in the sense of being a cartoon and literary and performing, but to work with young kids that can develop an idea from something that has already been invented. They're asked to do something from one of the thousands of inventions that have been brought out of the man's explorations of outer space for the safety of an astronaut. Just think of all the things that have been invented to get a man out there and back again. Well, we use them every day, and these kids are asked to employ it in such a way on a video with their fellow classmates and submit it to NASA, in this case Goddard Space Flight Center. And Daryl Mitchell and his team, they judge the best video. And at the end of the year, we present an award at Goddard in Baltimore. And these wonderful kids come down, and I've fallen in love with them because they're bright, they're smart, really bright, smart kids with great personalities. The type of people that I see that watch cartoons a lot, just that kind of intensity, you know, that they love something so much. And I encourage any kid here today that has not heard about the Optimus Prime spin-off award coming out of Goddard and NASA to look it up on NASA or Google it, Optimus Prime spin-off award, and get your school involved, get your classes involved, get your teachers involved. I think you'd be doing yourself a great favor.
More than just going into a recording booth and putting a voice to a script. That you are the characters, but not just the voice, but the embodiment. You transcend off the screen. And I love that, and I hope the fans here love and appreciate that. And I also would say, Frank, sorry to you, but we're hesitant to put Megatron too close to the smart people at NASA. We weren't sure what that would get us for fear of unlocking Unicron or maybe crashing the moon into our planet. God knows what may happen. So, all right. Well, I want to we're going to kind of wrap here, and we hope that all or many of you will get a chance to see these two amazing, legendary actors later today in our booth. We'll be here again tomorrow. Yes, the sound off. I can almost guarantee that there will be some different dialogue tomorrow. As you can see, they're totally unscripted. Anyways, I just water, I promise. Well, we hope you guys had a great time. You guys want to close us out?
Well, first of all, as you can see, my friend Peter is eloquent and impassioned and speaks from the heart. And it's good to be with you.
Aww.